Manager forced a black waitress into the bathroom, not knowing her husband was a mafia boss. Do exactly as I say, or start packing, Richard Hale barked, gripping Maya Brooks's arm with a strength meant to intimidate. He dragged her down the narrow service corridor of the upscale Chicago restaurant, out of the camera's view. Maya, 28, had spent 2 years building a reputation on integrity in this prestigious establishment. Tonight she faced humiliation simply for refusing a bribe. Senator Whitman had slipped a $5,000 envelope onto the counter, expecting her silence about Richard's tampering with receipts. She had responded with a calm, firm no. "Release my arm, Mr. Hale," she said evenly, her poise sharpening his fury. "I don't accept bribes, ever." Richard shoved her against the wall, veins visible on his reddened face. "You think you're better than everyone else, huh? People like you should be grateful I even hired you." What he didn't see was the phone hidden in Maya's apron pocket, recording every word. Over 6 months, she had logged each racist remark, corrupt maneuver, and abuse of power in meticulous detail. "Let's talk privately. In the bathroom," Richard hissed, squeezing her arm tighter. "Maybe you'll understand your place once I explain how things work." Maya drew in a steady breath. "You don't want to do that, Mr. Hale." "Oh, I do," he sneered. "And who's going to stop me? Your husband? That failed mechanic who can't even give you a decent life?" A chilling voice sliced through the tension. "I suggest you release my wife immediately." Richard froze. From the shadows near the back entrance, a tall man in a flawless suit approached, his gaze icy. 2 imposing men flanked him. "Victor Romano," Richard muttered, recognition lacing his voice. Maya allowed herself a small, triumphant smile. For 3 years, she had kept her husband's true power hidden, maintaining independence and reputation on her own merit. She had called Victor 2 hours earlier, when she sensed the confrontation spiraling out of control. Victor Romano halted a meter from Richard Hale, who still gripped Maya Brooks' arm. 3 seconds. "Explain why you're touching my wife," he said, voice cold, controlled. Richard released her immediately, as if burned. I didn't know. Just a misunderstanding." Victor's calm gaze sliced through him. "A misunderstanding? You called my wife an insolent little black girl and dragged her away from cameras. That looks intentional to me," Maya observed, satisfaction growing. For months, Richard had belittled her, treating her as inferior, as if a black waitress had no dignity or voice. Now, seeing him falter in front of her husband, she understood the patience and subtle strategy of her months-long plan. Victor stepped forward. Richard stumbled backward instinctively. "I didn't know she was your wife, Mr. Romano. Just a misunderstanding between employees. Nothing serious," Victor repeated slowly, deliberate, each word a blade. "You called my wife an insolent little black girl and isolated her against her will. Too specific for a misunderstanding." Maya stepped forward, extracting her phone from her apron. "This recording from tonight. You offering me $5,000 to ignore Senator Whitman's manipulated receipts." Richard's face paled. "You recorded me?" Maya smiled, the first genuine one that night. "Over the last 6 months, Richard, I recorded you 43 times, photographed 27 times, and compiled 62 detailed reports, all sent weekly to my husband. Every bribed customer, every altered receipt, every racist remark, every inappropriate touch. Documented, dated, undeniable." Richard gaped. I thought," Maya interrupted, her calm masking satisfaction. "You thought because I'm black, because I'm a waitress, I would silently endure humiliation. You assumed ignorance, no connections, no power." She advanced, steady and precise. "You built an image of me based on prejudice, Richard. That was your greatest mistake." Victor watched his wife with pride. Maya had insisted on working undercover, leveraging her expertise in business and hotel management to uncover corruption in the restaurant. "For 2 years, Maya continued, you humiliated not only me but Maria in the kitchen, degrading her for being Mexican, and Jessica, reminding her she should be grateful. You stole systematically from customers who trusted you." Richard tried to salvage control. "Wait, I can explain. We can come to an agreement. I have intel on competitors, other restaurants." Victor's smile was icy. You're offering information to a man who has observed every corner of this city for years. My wife wasn't here to spy. She was here to document. Maya continued methodically. Senator Whitman will be pleased to know his transactions are exposed. So will Judge Morrison, Congressman Walsh, and the construction mogul you facilitated for over a year. Richard's knees weakened. Every name represented a client now exposed, a network turning against him. "Please, I have a family, children," he whispered. Victor's voice remained measured. "Exactly why you should have thought before touching mine." Maya opened a nondescript briefcase Richard had seen hundreds of times, never suspecting it contained meticulous evidence of his corruption. "Do you remember telling me to be grateful for this job?" Maya said, leafing through reports. "March 23rd, when Senator Whitman left that campaign check you funneled into your personal account." Richard fumbled for his phone. "I'll call Senator Whitman. He'll handle this. He has connections you can't imagine." Victor and Maya exchanged an amused glance. "Call him," Victor said softly. "But he's being arrested right now for money laundering and tax evasion." Color drained from Richard's face. That's impossible." "Operation Clean Plate," Maya Brooks said casually, turning a page in her folder. 6 months of coordinated investigation, FBI, IRS, Chicago Police. 12 politicians, 8 judges, 15 businessmen, all connected through transactions you facilitated here at Elegance. Richard Hale staggered against the wall, feeling untouchable crumble. For months he had believed his network of corrupt allies, powerful men greasing his ego with bribes, would protect him. Judge Morrison. He whispered. "Arrested 2 hours ago," Victor replied, "as were Congressman Walsh and that construction mogul you admired." Maya continued, leafing through meticulous evidence, photos of suspicious checks, recordings, transfer records, forensic handwriting analyses proving Richard's forgeries. "You know what amazes me most, Richard?" She paused at a photo. "You forged my husband's signature, Victor Romano's, while he was watching, unbeknownst to you. You stole from the most dangerous man in Chicago and thought you were clever." Richard collapsed to his knees. "I have young children, an ex-wife relying on alimony. I can give everything back, testify against the others." "Testify?" Maya tilted her head. "We don't need your testimony. 2,000 pages of high-definition evidence, forensic analyses, recordings. You aren't a source. You are the end product." Months of humiliating Maya had only ensured every move, every crime, every connection was documented. He believed he controlled a submissive waitress. In reality, he was the bait in a federal operation targeting a much larger network. "Michael," Victor called. A man in a sharp dark suit appeared. "This is Michael Santos, my advisor and licensed federal prosecutor coordinating this operation with Maya," Victor explained. Richard's face registered vague recognition. "He's dined here several times?" 43 times over 6 months, Michael confirmed, smiling coldly. "Always observing, always recording. You served wine to the man building your federal case and were polite while doing it." Maya's voice remained calm. "For months, Richard, you humiliated, discriminated, and stole. But we needed a crime you could not deny. Senator Whitman's bribe, that $5,000. Offered in front of hidden cameras and federal witnesses. Perfect, indisputable." Richard finally grasped the trap. This wasn't coincidence. It was orchestrated to compel him to commit a federal crime under observation. Victor's tone was measured. "You gave us exactly what we needed. A white man in power, systematically humiliating a qualified black woman, while defrauding clients and enabling political corruption. The perfect crime with the most despicable motives." Michael opened his briefcase, revealing stacks of signed arrest warrants. "Richard Hale, you are under arrest for money laundering, tax evasion, racial discrimination in the workplace, and conspiracy to commit federal fraud." As Michael read his rights, Richard looked once more at Maya, the woman he had treated like disposable labor. Calm, composed, dignified, she watched the empire he helped build crumble. He would never know that his arrest was just the first domino. Maya's strategic patience and expertise were about to reshape Chicago's political landscape. Every humiliation he inflicted had fueled a determination that outmatched his arrogance and prejudice. Sirens blared outside. Through the restaurant windows, Richard saw a fleet of FBI vehicles surrounding Elegance. Federal agents entered the restaurant, search and seizure warrants in hand. "No," Richard whispered, disbelief striking like a hammer. "You can't do this." "I cooperated. I facilitated the deals." "Facilitated?" Maya chuckled softly, a sound that cut deeper than any scream. "Richard, did you really think we were partners? That we shared some kind of complicity?" Victor signaled his men, who moved to escort Richard toward the waiting federal agents. Maya raised a hand for one last moment. "Before you leave our lives forever, Richard, you need to understand exactly what happened here." She opened her briefcase again, revealing photographs that made him stagger. The first photo, Richard bragging to other managers at a bar, boasting about controlling employees of color. The second, altering credit card receipts. The third, placing his hand on Jessica, the sommelier, against her will. 43 restaurants in Chicago. Maya continued, calm, precise. "All received these documents last night detailing your discrimination and corruption." Richard's face drained of color. His career wasn't just over, it was obliterated. No reputable establishment would hire him. "Your ex-wife also received a copy," Michael Santos added, "particularly highlighting the $50,000 you embezzled from alimony funds over the past 2 years. Richard spun around. "She can't. She won't. She already filed for a full review of the divorce settlement this morning," Victor confirmed. "Discovering her ex-husband is a federal criminal changes child custody terms significantly." Richard finally grasped the magnitude of his downfall. Not just his job or freedom, but his family, reputation, entire identity, systematically destroyed. "My children," he begged, tears forming. "They'll learn that actions have consequences," Maya replied firmly. "Maybe it will prevent them from becoming men like you." The federal agents handcuffed Richard. He glanced one last time at Maya. "Why didn't you say who you were? Why pretend to be just a waitress?" Maya smiled, the first real emotion of the confrontation. "I wasn't pretending. I am a waitress, with 2 college degrees, fluent in 4 languages, married to one of the most powerful men in the city, and orchestrating the largest anti-corruption operation in Chicago history." She watched him being led away. "The difference is you saw only skin color and profession. I saw exactly who you were from day one." Victor confirmed. Channel 7 News goes live in an hour. Operation Clean Plate, corruption network dismantled by undercover investigation. Michael showed a tablet, headlines spreading online. Heroin waitress exposes $1 million corruption. Black woman subverts white power system in Chicago. 12 politicians, 8 judges, 15 businessmen, Maya murmured, reviewing the growing list of arrests. 2 years of work, 6 months of intensive documentation, and Richard Hale had been the key to unlocking the network. Her work was broadcast live at Northwestern University, where students in law, business, and journalism witnessed a systematically underestimated woman dismantle decades of privilege and corruption. Proving intelligence thrives in strategic patience and meticulous documentation, not confrontation. 6 months later, Maya stood on the main stage at the Chicago Convention Center before 2,000 people. Mayors, business leaders, activists, and students rose as she received the National Anti-Corruption Award from the governor of Illinois. "It is an honor to recognize a woman who exposed corruption and redefined how prejudice and privilege fuel criminal systems," the governor said, presenting the gold plaque. Richard Hale served a 15-year federal sentence for money laundering, racial discrimination, and conspiracy. Jennifer Hale gained full custody of their children, reversing the divorce settlement entirely. The $50,000 embezzled from child support, plus accrued interest and penalties, ensured Richard Hale would leave prison still owing over $200,000. 2 years after the first confrontation, Maya Brooks stood before a packed auditorium. "I was treated as invisible by a system that judged my worth solely by skin color and profession. But invisibility can be a superpower when used strategically." The audience laughed lightly, sensing the gravity behind her words. CNN, Fox News, MSNBC broadcast her every gesture and expression live to millions. In the front row, Victor watched his wife with undisguised pride, Michael Santos smiling subtly at the memory of the day Maya proposed working undercover. Operation Clean Plate, Maya explained, wasn't just about arrests. It demonstrated that underestimating someone based on prejudice is both morally wrong and strategically suicidal. Senator Whitman received a 22-year federal sentence. Judge Morrison was stripped of his robe and prosecuted. Congressman Walsh lost his career and assets. 15 influential businessmen were stripped of licenses, contracts, and decades of reputation. Every participant underestimated not only me, but the ability of a black woman to be smarter, more prepared, and more strategic than all of them combined, Maya said, voice intensifying. She had declined offers from 6 universities to instead found the Brooks Romano Institute for Combating Corruption, training investigators nationwide in techniques for documenting white-collar crime. 3 months after her arrest, Harvard, Yale, Stanford, and Northwestern sought her to develop curricula on undercover investigations applied to social justice. Victor expanded Elegance into a chain of federally certified corruption-free restaurants. Maria, formerly humiliated in the kitchen, became regional manager of 3 locations. Jessica, the sommelier, opened her own wine consultancy with discreet startup funding from Victor. Kevin Hale once told me to be grateful for having a job, Maya said, pausing as the audience absorbed the irony. Today, I generate employment for over 300 people through our institute and certified businesses. Chicago implemented the Maya Brooks Act, requiring commercial establishments with over 20 employees to undergo independent audits for discrimination and corruption every 2 years. In those 2 years' waiting tables, I learned that true strength isn't shouting when wronged. It's transforming humiliation into evidence, disrespect into documentation, and anger into strategy, she continued. Richard received weekly letters from former clients suing him, while politicians he thought were allies now publicly blamed him. He became the perfect scapegoat, hated while the system he exploited remained accountable. Victor asked if she felt sorry for them. Maya smiled softly. I feel sorry for anyone confusing social status with morality, privilege with intelligence, or thinking humiliation elevates them. Applause erupted. Maya Brooks trended globally for 3 days. College students tattooed quotes from her speeches. Young black women across the U.S. held handwritten signs declaring, "Invisibility is superpower." Richard Hale believed he controlled a submissive waitress, Maya said, moving across the stage with the confidence of someone who had turned pain into purpose. In fact, he was the prey in a federal operation targeting networks far beyond his imagination. Victor observed tears across the audience. Maya had become a force for social change, inspiring people worldwide. The best revenge, Maya concluded, isn't destroying those who hurt you. It's building something so great, transformative, and enduring that they spend the rest of their lives regretting they underestimated you. The standing ovation lasted 5 minutes. Backstage, Victor asked, "How does it feel to be the most inspiring woman in America?" "I've turned 2 years of humiliation into a lifetime of purpose," Maya replied, adjusting her gold plaque. Richard Hale's name became synonymous with self-destructive arrogance in law schools. His downfall inspired federal workplace legislation. 3 documentaries about the case were in production. Hollywood purchased the story for a 7-figure sum. Maya Brooks became a UN speaker, anti-corruption advisor to European countries, and author of Strategic Invisibility on the New York Times bestseller list for 15 weeks. While Richard counted days in a federal cell, Maya woke each morning knowing she had converted humiliation into power, defeat into victory, not just against one man, but against a system that allowed such men to thrive.